Well, hello, and welcome back to another vidIQ live stream. It's Q&A day. I'm Dan, joined by Mr. Rob.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I'm here with my favorite live streaming co-host, Dan. You had a well-earned break yesterday. How are you feeling? Back and refreshed, I hope.
I mean, I'm feeling okay. I would have been better had I not discovered yesterday that I am, in fact, a lesser Dan. I believe that was what was said.
You were watching, were you?
So as the lesser Dan, I'm confused by your comment about how I'm your favorite live streaming co-host. I think
it's just I just lie before first lies in front of whoever I'm talking to right now. Anyway, I'll try and hide up this error by putting on my live stream gloves for the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, hide behind your gloves. Mr. Keyboard Warrior Rob doesn't want to strain his fingers.
It's not really keyboard warrior, it's more microphone Myrna of some kind.
Microphone bandit. Welcome, everybody. So every Wednesday, we bring you a live stream where not only do we show you some different ways you could be growing your channels and honing your craft as a creator, but we also take your questions. So how this is going to work for the next probably couple hours is we're going to start by getting into the topic of the day. That'll get you warmed up as you're watching. And you're thinking of questions, just take note of those, because we're going to do a separate section after the first section, which is Q&A. So if you start asking questions and you're like, I thought this was a Q&A, what's going on? It's because we're still doing the first thing. So if you have any questions as we're going, it's good to write those down, and then we'll be doing a nice meaty segment of answering your questions, Q&A. So what else is going on? I think the first thing we should say is a lot of the stuff you're going to see is going to, if you haven't installed in vidIQ before, it's going to look a little bit different. So check the link below. You can install vidIQ, and if you use that link below, you can get 30 days free of Boost, which is all of our tools, our whole suite of tools.
Woof.
You get that for free for 30 days. And yeah, if you haven't taken advantage of that before, that is available to you right now. So check that out. Be sure when you get vidIQ, you authenticate your channel as well. That's how the tool can actually look into your stats and help you improve. So we're going to be showing you a little bit of that. But today, really, we want to talk about, we're going to do it a little bit differently. We want to talk about our analytics and try and figure out what's making this channel tick right now, today, the vidIQ channel, and what we might do in the future to, improve and get our graphs all moving up and to the right.
Yeah, so I made a video about this around a month ago, and it was well received. And I was wondering whether we should do this on a regular basis. And I thought, let's try this as a live stream session where we can have more of an interactive conversation about this. And it's not necessarily going to be about last month, because we are slap bang in the middle of June right now. But we're kind of looking at the last 30 days and things that are happening recently on the vidIQ channel. So what I recommend you do right now as way of being able to look at your own channel is, if you have a second screen available, load up your channel analytics on that page. And then you can maybe look through some of the numbers on your channel and say, oh yeah, I can see what they're talking about here. Maybe this is going to help me make a informed, data-driven decision going forward over the next month, whether it be building on the foundations of content that's doing well, or indeed experimenting, like, oh, I didn't even realize this was happening in our analytics. So let's test that a little bit more. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, Dan. And we were talking briefly beforehand about how we were going to structure this, and we kind of have a couple of points that we want to look at, but it's also going to be somewhat freeform as well, just to see where the conversation leads. Because sometimes I just love talking YouTube shop without any, specific point that we're trying to make. It's because it always leads on to really interesting stuff if we just talk YouTube.
Yeah, I pulled up this comment because this is how I felt for a very long time when it came to looking at analytics. If you feel like short reviews where, he says or he or she, sorry, analytics confuse me a bit, but I think I'm getting better. That's, like I said, how I felt for a very long time. And if that's you, hopefully today helps you out, because we're literally just going to be doing exactly what we would do off camera, off live stream, when we want to look at our analytics and figure out how are things going today in our last 10 videos. How are they doing? And maybe are there things that have happened recently we can double down on, so that the next video gets even more views. That's basically what we're doing. So I hope short reviews and others feel like we're gonna offer some help here. Sorry, I got distracted. I refreshed chat and then it distracted me at the end of that tangent.
All right, let's just start exploring the analytics. Maybe I'll start. But Dan, if you ever want to interrupt at any point because you find something interesting, please do that. I guess what we shall add is, of course, vidIQ is of a certain size, and that certain size is now above 900,000 subscribers. So we do want to say thank you to all of you who are watching, who have pressed that red button. If you haven't yet, pause this video. Please don't watch any more of it, because we don't want you to until you subscribe. You're not allowed to watch it, basically. Although you'll see later on in this conversation how little I care actually about subscribers because of a different analytic. But yeah, we're of a certain size, and it means that where the view counts for us are somewhat stable, and they're hard to influence in any dramatic way. So you kind of have to think of vidIQ and other large channels as more of oil tankers, where they're moving in a certain direction, and in order to change or pivot, it can take a long time to do that. So that's why maybe we're not seeing a huge rise in views or a huge decline in views. But there are still some interesting bumps here that we look at. And we've had another average month this year. We've done 2 million views, which I guess when you look at it from the point of view of just where we were in 2017 when I first started on this channel and where we are today, that's still phenomenal that we've done that.
Why don't you actually break that segment out? So if you instead of the last 28 days.
All right. So yeah. So if I do lifetime, unfortunately, there was a long time when nothing was happening on the channel,
right?
As you can see, and you see where it just starts to pick up a little bit here. We go from like 100 views per day to 1,000 or so. That's when I started making videos on the channel around about April 2016. So to get a fairer reflection of that, we would need to go to, well, if we just change that to 17, that should make it more interesting what we doing here. So not much happened for a long time on the channel, and this is what I mean by sometimes you need a lot of patience. And we probably made about 100 videos, and I joined vidIQ on a full-time basis around about late 2017. But even then, it took me 12 months to go from 3,000 to 4,000 views per day to then starting to get up to 10,000. Then, yes, I will admit, we have these viral moments, which I don't know if they were good for the channel or they weren't good for the channel, the PewDiePie versus T-Series stuff and a bit of Mr. Beast stuff. But even after those viral moments, we built up the traction of the channel to about 30,000 views. And then this is where you can talk about YouTube's explanation of a discovery engine and seasonal changes, where we were getting around about 50,000 views a day. And then all of a sudden we shot up to 100,000 views a day.
Well, not all of a sudden.
This time, so gradual over like 2 months.
No, that's about the time you started asking me to make videos. That's what happened.
Oh, really? Was it? Yeah, that's a good point. I think this is where you made your How to Start a Gaming channel, Dan. So yeah, you can take full credit for us doubling our view count every single day. Or what it could have been, along with that video, is YouTube talks about the seasonality changes. And this was quite a big seasonality change in that the global pandemic started to hit the world in March, April of last year. People were staying indoors. They were wondering what to do with themselves, and they started making YouTube channels. And so we had lots of educational content already on YouTube at that point. And so that's why we started to experience this. I guess, phenomenal daily growth, albeit for a very bad global reason. But even then, now that the world's starting to open up again, we have lost some viewers, but we've gone from around about 50,000 views per day to around about 65, 75,000 views per day. So even though we have all of these spikes, which and these dips, the overall trend is still, as Dan said, up and to the right. So we know that we're still doing a relatively good job.
Well, when you get a big spike too, you've just introduced a whole bunch of new people to your channel. Now, as you can see, most of those folks didn't come back, but a handful of them stayed, and that's where you see the graph after every spike, the baseline goes up a little bit, and a little bit, and a little bit.
That is a challenge where when you have a viral moment, do you know what to do with this audience?
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of know what to do with my audience within the YouTube education realm, but these were YouTube, how would I describe this? It's like YouTube drama stories. Mm-hmm. So it kind of fit into our content a little bit, and we were taking the stats side of it, but we couldn't really maintain that. And so we lost some viewers, most viewers, but as you say, Dan, some stuck around. And so we've seen that continue to benefit our channel.
And when that happens on other channels, we've seen it happen where people, like, let's say you have a channel about a video game, but one day you get a new laptop and you decide, what would it be like to review this laptop on my channel? Yeah. And that video blows up. And you never intended on making more tech reviews on this channel. So you go back to making your gaming content, and that's where you get those spikes that don't improve the overall retention on your channel, because once they realize you're not a tech review channel, they stop returning.
So what I've done here now is I've chosen time period, the last full month that we have, which is May, and that automatically resets this graph so that you can see your view counts on a month-to-month basis. So as you can see, this time last year, we did over 3 million views, which is amazing. And now we've done 2.2 million views. So we have seen a bit of a drop off, but at the same time, we had quite a significant drop off at the end of the year. So it has stabilized a little bit. So we're on like a stable plateau right now. I'm relatively happy with what's happening with the channel month to month, but day to day, like each individual video that I release, I'm still questioning whether or not I made the right decision. So that's just my mindset, what's going through my head, and like how can I possibly change that? And so what I would start to look at here is actually the latest videos that we published to see if there's any particular theme that's working for the channel or isn't. We'll skip past the live streams because they generally do the same every single week. That's all about the community that you have as opposed to trying to reach a new audience, at least with our live streams. So the first video I might look at here is one about the video I launched on Monday, which was, I guess, YouTube myths debunked and answering some of discovery questions. And what I can see here is that it performed fairly average, except for the average view duration, which was higher than usual. Now, this was a longer video. I think it was about 13 minutes as opposed to stuff that's been around 10 minutes. So that's one reason. But at the same time, you've managed to keep that audience engaged in a longer piece of content. So I'm finding that interesting. And maybe the reason was because we answered 10 different questions. So we're moving from question to question quite frequently, which maybe kept the audience engaged. But I might look at the audience retention specifically as well and see if there's anything interesting to highlight there. Now, the next video is really interesting because it has more views and a much higher click-through rate, like 7.8% versus 5.1%. So that's essentially 50% more people clicking on that video because of a higher click-through rate. And why is that? I think it's because of this 1,000 subscribers theme that I've been attacking recently with our videos, knowing that in the past we've had successful content and it's proven out to be the case again. But the audience retention, view duration, is a little lower. It's at 254. It's because it was a shorter video, but I've proven in this video that people will watch our content for longer. So Dan, how do I maybe combine these two videos together? We've got the YouTube algorithm and we've got 1,000 subscribers. Maybe I could do a combined video about how the YouTube algorithm works with subscribers. Ooh. I'd have to think of a better title, but that's where that's what the neurons that are firing off in my YouTube creative mind right now? How could I potentially combine these two pieces of content to create something that's, again, really engaging with the audience?
I think we would want to take a look at the content on the one that had the longer average view duration. But my thought is that if I remember that video right, you broke that one up because you said it was like myths debunked. And so you broke that up into segments, right? You tackle them one at a time. That tells me maybe there's a way you can make a video about getting your first 1,000 subscribers, like the 10 steps to getting your first 1,000 subscribers, where now you can do the similar thing where the timestamps break up each individual step. And you know, you have to watch that video for longer because it's less nuance in all the paragraphs you wrote, and it's more direct each step.
Now looking at this video individually, I'm still not satisfied with our audience retention of around about 40%. But you know, I'll go in here and I'll click on a relative audience retention, and then when you see that, and it suggests that the actually for this video length, the video is performing above average. That gives me some solace of comfort, but maybe there's still room for improvement in what we do. And I'm sure you noticed these little teeth marks that I sometimes call them. That's where the timestamps are. I think people just jumping around. What I'm testing here is not bothering with an outro, so we don't get that massive drop off in the last 10-20 seconds. That seemed to work there, so maybe I'll continue to do that going forward. Where was the dip here? This, funny enough, Dan, this is the dip where I was trolling Ryan, who we had a chew talk with. So I don't know, Ryan, you've somehow infiltrated our video and caused it to dip quite a lot. But I guess that's my fault for putting you in the video. It's a bit weird.
People here are big fans of Ryan, and when you started hazing him, they're like, no, I'm out.
Must have been. That's now just one thing I want to look at here with this video is because I think the impressions to click-through rate is so high. I think that's helping maintain the push of this video. I mean, wow, look at that, the browse features. It's incredible that video continues to get loads of browse views as opposed to search.
Look how much more it's done today than yesterday.
Yeah, it's just shot up like in the last couple of hours as well, which is fantastic. I mean, even if we got no browse feature views there, just from YouTube search, this video would be getting 1,000 views roughly every 48 hours, which is really encouraging, which is why I want to maybe think about continuing to go back to this topic of 1,000 subscribers, because this was a follow-up to, if I can find that video. So this video here, how to get 1,000 subscribers in 1 week, was a follow-up to this video, because this video got 1,000 subscribers in a week. Now it's got 1,500. Well, that one's even more incredible. And for a video that's about under 1,000 subscribers, you'd think that would have a lot of search intent. It's getting no views from search right now. It's just getting tons of views from browse. And my assumption here is because, again, the click-through rate for us and perhaps for this topic is very, very high. I know we've already gone well into the weeds here with some videos, but you can't ignore the data. These two videos about the increased watch time and the increased click-through rate is really telling me something, that how can I continue to leverage this going forward, whilst also attracting a new audience, but also maintaining our regular viewers who are going to be returning.
Well, here's what I want to do. Let's just get a small sample size right now, just to prove that, like, you and I, we know the audience, right? Like 1,000 subscribers. A lot of you are probably here because you are under 1,000 subscribers or under a certain threshold and you want more. So show of hands, a little raise hand emoji. Are you right now under 1,000 subscribers and here because you're trying to get to that point? Just show of hands. I'd love to see that, because that all the signals in the analytics here are telling us, hey, keep talking about how to get more subscribers, you know, specifically 1,000, because it's such a big milestone. And there's a number of ways we can do that. And it's so different for every other person that each video isn't going to be the same as the last. I think you would agree.
Let's prove that. So we're seeing all of these people, thumbs up, hands up. Well, we know this because of this. This is the analytic that I am paying so much attention to right now, and it is dictating more and more the content that we make. This is in the last 28 days. We have new viewers, which continues to be fairly stable for us. YouTube is just going out and finding new people to watch our content, and you would expect to be fairly stable because there's probably not going to be a sudden surge or viral moment in how to grow your YouTube channel. It's just a steady amount of people searching for this term every single day. But how you can influence this for your channel is understanding where you've already had an impact with that audience in that topic, and then giving them even more value on that topic. So the purple line represents people like yourselves who are on this live stream, who've probably already watched something on vidIQ, but you're returning to watch something else, and it's fairly stable until this big jump here. So on the day before, we had 17,000 people returning to watch our content. And then when we launched a particular video, that number almost doubled. And can you guess what that video was?
Oh,
it was about how to get under that 1,000 subscriber theme. Mm-hmm. And that's just like a huge light bulb for me, telling me that this is what your audience, who already knows you, wants to see more. And when that thumbnail appears on browse features, because that viewer's already seen some of your content, and now YouTube is trying to push some more of your content to that audience, they're willing to watch it. So huge increase there. And that's why 10 days later, can we see another big jump here from 19,000 to 30,000? So not quite as big, but still significant. Mm-hmm. It's that follow-up video, that 1,000 subscriber video from one video. So these two videos worked in conjunction to bring our audience back to watch more of our content. And that's why I'm going to keep making videos when I can about return viewers and how this is far more important than subscribers.
Yeah, and this is exactly what you want to see with this chart, by the way. When you look at this on your own channel, you click analytics, you go to the audience tab, you want to see just what we're seeing here, where the purple line and the blue line keep meeting each other. They keep intersecting at different times.
Yeah, look, we haven't done it enough, Dan, have we? Like
no.
This one here, and that was because of the YouTube algorithm, how to beat the YouTube algorithm. So I know algorithm is a trigger word for our audience. Then again here, and I think again that was about the YouTube algorithm doesn't care about your subscribers. So that's where I've kind of already tried to tackle the combining algorithm and subscribers in a title. And then these two intersect here, as you say, Dan, crossing each other with a 1,000 subscriber theme.
Yeah. It's more important to have these two lines intersecting than it is to have one above the other. Because if you look on the chart guide there, it tells you exactly what that looks like. If you have mostly returning viewers, YouTube tells you straight up, viewers are frequently returning to watch videos, but you need to reach new viewers. So to reach new viewers, some creators experiment with new topics or formats. And then the opposite, when you have mostly new viewers, that means people are not returning to watch after discovering your content. Consider creating a series or videos on similar topics. The same thing we're always saying, niche down. If you're going to keep jumping topics, it's going to be really hard to get people to return to your channel and watch. You want these lines to be as close together as possible. I think it matters less which one is over the other and more about how close are they together.
Yeah, so let's explain this then. So if you look at this is the entirety of 2020, and this is the views, and they're fairly stable, you would say. It's between, let's say, between 60,000 and 100,000 views per day, give or take. Now, if I go to my live subscriber count, and then I click on 2021, well, you can just see that this graph is going up and to the right. That's brilliant. That means we must be growing as a channel, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, that's not necessarily the case, because subscribers are going up, view counts are staying static. What explains that disparity? It's this graph here, in that our returning audience is returning on a regular basis, but we're not building that audience more on a... I mean, it's probably slightly gone up from the beginning of the year to where we are now, ever so slightly. But we're not doing it enough. And so that's what I want to continue to try and improve. Now, what you could argue is that maybe vidIQ is starting to reach its, how can I say this? Like, there aren't many channels, and I'm not saying, this is just a fact. There aren't many YouTube growth education channels that are larger than us in the space. You could argue that Think Media is one, but they also do tech as well. So they've got two video topics that they can really tackle. And of course, we have lots of Indian YouTube education channels who are huge, but there's a bit of a different demographic there because there's a lot of new Indian creators coming onto the scene. But in terms of English-speaking YouTube education channels, how many have as many views as we get per month and as many subscribers? And I can't really think there's a couple who I can think of, like Catherine Manning, Nick Nimmin. Who else might there be? Annie Dubé. But they're all of a slightly smaller size, I think, subscriber-wise and view size. And that's not to say that their channels are better or worse than us, but I feel as if we could be reaching an inflection point where we've reached a lot of our audience. But then I always say there's an audience for everybody on YouTube, and you're only ever touching a tiny fraction of your audience. But maybe over 4 years, we've covered many of our audience. But at the same time, and this is just me just rambling on with an internal monologue that's now coming out into the microphone, there are thousands of new YouTube creators joining YouTube every single day. So we've got to service those as well. Dan, help me out here. Well, that was a soliloquy.
Well, the topic of the channel is this topic appeals to people who are looking to start their own YouTube journey. But there's, I think, a ceiling for everything on YouTube. And the ceiling, like you just said, it fluctuates because new creators do come onto the scene. But maybe, you know, we're finding various limits here and there to the ceiling. Like Minecraft, for example, I think has a much higher ceiling than even, you know, vidIQ's niche, because there's so many people who make videos on Minecraft, but there's so many more who actually play the game, you know, and they're looking for advice, they're looking for tips. This is something they do in their free time when they're not thinking about being YouTube creators, or they're not thinking about school or whatever. So certain topics are so big and have this like unlimited ceiling, it feels like. I think the ceiling of vidIQ and other channels like it is somewhere. It's not unlimited though, like I feel it is for a game like Minecraft.
You can see the other channels who watch our content, and I think there are at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the channels in that list are Indian channels. And so all credit to most of India, because we get a lot of viewers from India who speak English perhaps as a second language. We don't, unfortunately, can support maybe your native tongue at this point. But yeah, this really caught me out.
Do any of those channels have 2 million subscribers?
Not yet. No, I think a couple have 1 million subscribers.
Yeah,
but I think again, also some of those are both tech channels and YouTube growth in there as well.
True. That's what I was talking about with ceiling. Is kind of what I was getting at. Is our ceiling may be in the low millions, right, for subscribers, whereby Minecraft 10 million, you know, there's channels with tens of millions of subscribers. So it's just kind of interesting to see the topics on YouTube and how different they are. And yeah, I don't know, I just wanted to make that point.
Look at how the demographics have changed in the last 2 months, in that where all of a sudden we're getting a lot more people from India. So hello to everybody in India.
Yeah.
I'm wondering why that is. Is it because we offer, I guess, a slightly different approach to YouTube education than the creators in your space, and there's a different level of production, or you just prefer an English-speaking personality on the screen? Really interesting to know that.
It's shorts. It's got to be shorts.
You think it's me talking about shorts? And
yeah, because let's look at the date where that graph really starts to tick up. I wonder if that coincides with.
Not really, because I mean, shorts have been available in India for a very long time. In the US, they started to roll out at the middle of March.
Oh, this is only a 2021 chart. For some reason, I thought it was longer. Yeah, because shorts came out in India first, so I'm like, oh, maybe you were dominating that discussion.
I don't think we could drill down into views by search for a particular country. Maybe I can, but I don't have the mental capacity to add all those filters and figure out how I would do that.
Well, that was my thought, but now, that was debunked.
So, I mean, we've gone really deep into the weeds very quickly there. But that's sometimes what I like to do with the channel, just jam out and find some interesting stuff as we're going forward. I guess just before we move off this point, because Dan, we were wanting to talk about this, is like, why potentially did these videos about 1,000 subscribers really pop. And I think another reason is the thumbnails. We've decided to just have a little bit of an experimentation here and try something different. I mean, usually we have the blue purple background with me or an icon on face, and I think that's more than fine, but we've been running them for about 6 months. And almost by luck, when I'll tell you exactly what happened here is during this video, so I'll just play it. We use stock footage, and we got some stock footage from Invanto or Ivato, I can't remember what it's called.
Is it on?
And I just thought, that's like a really interesting image.
It's not.
I'm going to try and test that as a background.
It's not there.
And so, sorry, what's that?
It's not on the stream.
Oh, it's because how do I fix that?
I think it's on a new tab that isn't being captured.
Yeah, right. Okay. Well, let's hang on. Just focus. Let me just. What am I doing? So share screen. All right. I'm just going to have to do it this way now. Yeah. So let me just.
There we go.
Rewind this. So we get stock footage, and this is something from Ivato. Is it Ivato or Envanto?
Envanto is how I say it, but I don't know if I'm saying it right either.
And I think I was just watching a pause at this point, and I thought, you know what? That's like actually a really interesting image. Maybe I could use that as a background. And so that's what I did. I used it as a background for this thumbnail. And so when we do a search using our thumbnail preview tool to compare this against similar videos, now, it's actually worked, Dan. That's interesting. So this is now comparing our thumbnail against other thumbnails on how to get 1,000 subs. And I would say this competes very, very well in terms of its vibrancy, my YouTuber post, just being really simple and like one idea concept being presented in the thumbnail. But I think also the title needs to complement that thumbnail, and it does so quite well. I mean, look at how we've done this in the past, where we've had a progression to 1,000 subscribers. And that's worked really well as well, because we've got 1 million views from that. But I just felt like trying something a bit different, and it seems to really pop. And I think this one as well, where I'm just changing the color scheme of those YouTube icons. And that green has a real nice pop against the blues and reds in a similar topic. And so this is, by the way, the thumbnail preview tool that we have here at vidIQ. And I always use this as a final check. Once I've made the thumbnail and the title, I do want to see how it's going to perform, not only against the competition in terms of a search, but also just generally on the home screen. And this is getting a lot of views from browse, and you can see here how the red, I think that red and white really pops against what else we see on screen, which is predominantly whites going on there.
Yeah, this tool is invaluable, especially if you're somebody who's always wondering, like, I don't know if this thumbnail is good enough. And that's how I felt going in as well. Anytime I'd upload a video, like, I think this thumbnail looks good, but you know, I'm always gonna be critical of my own design work. I guess we'll just see how it does. Now you can compare it at least and see, oh yeah, like my competition has simpler elements here. They have way less text than I do. Or, you know, oh, they put their face in it. That's actually an interesting idea. That looks pretty cool. Maybe I'll do that. So it's a good check on yourself. It's not going to point directly at your thumbnail and say, no, that's a bad thumbnail. But it's up to you to discern that, and having a nice clear picture of what it's going to be up against is so helpful.
Okay, what do you reckon we should look at next, Dan? What's next on the ticket, do you think?
Let's see here. So I wanted to look at, if you go into, I think, audience.
Yep.
You made a point earlier, but you kind of blew by it a little bit. And I scroll down. Maybe it's here. I always get this wrong. I think it's reach.
Yep.
And obviously our biggest traffic source being YouTube search, because we make a lot of search-driven content. I was trying to find the one with, you know, subscribers to not subscribers.
Oh, that, I think you were right the first time. I think it's audience.
Really? Oh, sorry.
Oh.
All right. Well, there you go. So I just wanted to point this out on the subject. I know we're kind of past it now, of 1,000 subscribers. This is just showing you how many people are subscribed to the channel and giving you views, and then how many people are giving you views who are not subscribed to the channel. And I bet you, those of you who are under 1,000 subscribers, if you look in here, it's the same for you to some degree. You have more people watching who are not subscribed than who are subscribed. And that's just one more reason why you shouldn't hold yourself to the sub count. You shouldn't chain yourself to it like that's the only metric for growth. You know, there's a lot of reasons someone may not subscribe to your channel, but be just a regular viewer of yours. On my, I guess I'll call it still my test channel, quote unquote, I've gotten it up to 100,000 returning viewers within a 28-day period, but it is nowhere near 100,000 subscribers. And to me, that's something to celebrate. If you've reached 100,000 individual people in the span of a month, it doesn't matter if they didn't subscribe. You reached 100,000 people, you know. And this was more of a moral lesson, Rob, is why I wanted to pull this up.
Here's some interesting analytics to look at and try and explain. First of all, let's have a look at the average percentage viewed. These look terrible, don't they? Like, and why for subscribers is it even less? Now, I think my answer for this is because it's to do with our live streams. And I think the live streams are ruining the percentage views analytics a bit, in the sense that subscribers, just like yourselves, are more likely to watch our live streams, and you probably get more views directly from notifications for subscribers on live streams. But because maybe in a 2-hour live stream, you're dipping in for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, that's why probably the view duration is so low. Whereas I think not subscribed viewers are more likely just to be watching our video on demand stuff, as well as some of the live streams. But at the same time, look at the average view duration. There is still an argument that subscribers are far more loyal and are bound to watch more of your content. And this is proven out by the fact that the subscribed average view duration is almost 2 minutes longer. But again, that could be because more subscribed people watch our live streams as opposed to video on demand stuff. But how I would counter this is that where is the traffic source actually for these views? And so if we go back to say, I'm going to look at just a bog standard video on our channel. Let's take, I think this one's doing about average. And look at how many views from about 18,000 you get from notifications and subscription feed. That's around about 3,500 views from directly the subscription feed for 17,000 views, which isn't very much. But what I think, which isn't shown here, but I could be wrong about this, is when your video appears on browse or suggested and the person is subscribed to you, does that view and watch time count as somebody who's subscribed to your channel or is not subscribed to your channel? Does that make any sense, Dan?
Can you say it again?
Okay, so let's say this again. Let's say you subscribe to a channel. I've subscribed to vidIQ, but when I get a notification, I don't watch the video from a notification, right? Or I don't watch the video from the subscription feed. What I do is I watch the video from the home feed just because it appears there. Right. Like, I know I'm subscribed, but I've watched one of their videos before and it appears on a homepage. I watched that video from the homepage. Does that count as data from a subscriber or not a subscriber?
That is a good
question. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I don't know that either, because maybe it's only looking at, because it says subscriptions feed. Yeah, you know, so that to me is clear. It doesn't matter if they were subscriber or not. It matters where they clicked from. So if it came from a subscription feed, those are some pretty dedicated viewers. Those are viewers who use their subscription feed and are actively seeking your content when it's posted. Whereas the YouTube home viewers, you're getting them at different parts of the day. You hope that your video is in the home feed along with the other ones that would be displayed at that time. Yeah, it's just different. And I think maybe they don't care if they're subscribed or not. It comes from the home feed.
My I guess justification or argument for this is, let's say you watched a vidIQ video on Monday and you don't, irrespective of whether you subscribe to that channel due to that video, on the Thursday when we publish another video, I still think, irrespective of the subscribe status of that viewer, it's going to show that new video to that viewer on the homepage.
Yeah.
Because you've watched some of their content. It's not about the subscriber. At least that's what I think, and how I think YouTube is trying to communicate that to us now. I mean, yes, a subscriber will get a notification and they'll see it in the subs feed, but unless they're going to tap on it and watch a video right then, the chances are the next time they go into YouTube and see your video on the homepage, they'll watch it from there. I don't know, going into a big conversation about subscribers again. But yeah, this is where the analytic that we were just looking at can be a little confusing, and why people are saying, I'm not getting enough views from subscribers. Well, that's very common, but also, do you know how valuable those views actually are? And do you just want views from subscribers? Because if you only get views from subscribers, then YouTube's not broadly sharing your content to a wider audience. I think you always want a happy medium of some subscribers watching your content, because that indicates some loyalty, but much more YouTube promoting your content and viewers just returning to your content because they've seen it somewhere on YouTube, irrespective of it being a subscription feed or the notifications.
Yeah. If subscribers meant all that much for your view count, we would be getting closer to 900,000 views.
Yeah, we certainly would do.
Those folks subscribed ages ago at the beginning, and there's a good chance most of them don't come back. They got what they needed back then, and they just didn't hit unsubscribe, because nobody ever prompts you to hit unsubscribe. If there was an unsubscribe button that showed up on their feed every now and again, hey, these are some channels that you don't watch anymore. Who knows? YouTube could do that one day. I hope they don't, but it wouldn't make a difference. Your number would go down, but it wouldn't make a difference at the end of the day for your view count.
Yeah, let's just go back to Saturday, April the 22nd, 2017, where we gained 170 subscribers. My question to you watching right now is, do you think all 170 of those people watch vidIQ? And the answer is probably not. Maybe 2 or 3 still do. They may still be subscribed, and we're buried somewhere deep in their subscription feed, but are vidIQ videos appearing in their browse page, their suggested column? Very, very unlikely. And that's why I think the concept of subscribers is something that's been very much left in the 2010s, in the same way that video tags has.
Yep.
But how can YouTube just remove something that's so integral to the way creators celebrate their success, and how the vanity metrics are judged on YouTube?
Right.
But I could be wrong. That's just my opinion these days, and people argue with me if you want.
When you're
able to do very soon in the chat.
Certain apps you use, like on your phone, like if you don't use them in a long enough time span, like you can go in and it'll tell you, like, these are apps that you don't use. You want to clean up your phone.
Good point.
And it's just if YouTube ever did that, I'd be really curious to see what would happen to everybody's sub count. If suddenly subscribers would match more the type of views you could expect on your channel, because the number would go down over time as people unsubscribe to all these channels they're not paying attention to. And it would only leave the folks who are like, no, I like vidIQ. I'm not going to unsubscribe. I watch them. They wouldn't get recommended to anyway because they don't watch it.
I wonder if you change the subscriber count to this figure here. Like, what might you call it? Like active viewers?
Yeah.
Active subscribers?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's numbers would be so much lower.
Right.
But from a research point of view, it'd be really helpful for you to then look at channels of a similar size, literally through loyalty and that perspective.
Right. It's I would be very interested, because like I said earlier, for me, that number, if my subscriber count changed into inactive viewer count, my number would jump, it would 10x overnight.
Let's just touch on this a little more. Let's take channel makers. This is one of our vidIQ partners, Nate, stop turning on caps lock. He's doing a fantastic job with his YouTube education channel. And at the moment, he has 30 times less subscribers than us. Subscribers, 30,000. But if you look at his videos, I think he's still experimenting a little bit. He's doing stuff about lighting, and that hasn't done that well. 2,500 views, and I think there's another one here which didn't do that great. Where was it? Something about audio, which maybe got 1,000 views or so. But if you look at his view counts, like 8,000 views from a video 2 days ago about audience retention, doubling watch time. 15,000 views here from a video. 50,000 views from a video about how to get 4,000 hours watch time. That is phenomenal stuff.
Yeah.
For a channel of his size, I mean, you could argue here that he's performing well above expectation for his subscriber size. Now, and again, I don't want to, this is not a knock or on either of these channels. This is just observations from the facts that we can see. Think Media, good friends of ours as well. They have 1.5 million subscribers. But if you look at some of the view counts here, 6,000 views on a video there, 12,000 views, 20,000 views, 14,000 views. It's not that many views for a channel of its size if you argued from a point of view of subscribers.
Yeah.
But we all know that Sean Cannell and his team do a phenomenal job. They have a 7-figure business here with everything that they do, and they cover broad topics, and they publish a lot of content now. I know that they're certainly trying to create more content, and a lot of this has potential evergreen effects here. Some of these might not do very well to begin with, like 15 keyboard shortcuts for, I think, Final Cut Pro. That may take a while to take off, but if it does, you're potentially looking at hundreds of thousands of views on that particular video. But Think Media is a larger channel than us. If we go to our content, ours is a little different because we have 2 live streams a week. So that can sometimes influence the view count. So we'll try and ignore the live streams. But this one here, 20,000 views, 40,000 views, 18,000 views, 22,000 views. So on the face of it, you could argue that we're getting more views than Think Media on a video-to-video basis. But given their volume and given their evergreen pedigree, I think Think Media does twice as many views as us a day. It's something along that lines. It's like 150K views a day. So just looking at the subscriber counts can be somewhat misleading, especially given the topic that you're in, but also just how much you're reaching your audience with every single video that you make. And that is always a challenge, I guess.
Yeah, the perspective here is so critical to, I think, as creators. If you're concerned about your subscriber count, for example, like try and get this perspective from yourselves. Go out to different channels that are in your space, and see how they're doing it as well. And I don't want you to bang your head against the wall comparing yourself to others, but I'm really encouraged by what we just saw. Like us at our channel, looking at channel makers, looking at Think Media, and it's just really interesting to see that the view counts on newer videos are very similar across the board, but evergreen content, like you said, Rob, plays a huge role in Think Media's overall views per day on the entire channel. And that comes with time. That comes with experience. That comes with just making content, and making content with that kind of strategy in mind of this video is evergreen, meaning it's going to rank in search. It's going to help people for a very, very, very long time to come. This isn't something, I'm not covering a topic that happened yesterday, like E3, and isn't going to be news tomorrow. This is something that's going to help people for a long time, and they've made those plays again and again and again and again.
So we've just chatted here. Basically, we've just chatted for 50 minutes. There was other things that we were maybe going to cover, but I want to put a pause in at this point, Dan, and just ask the audience, did you find this useful? It felt from me that it was a little bit rambly, but at the same time, it was interesting just to chat about things that we're always thinking about. And if you find that useful, then we want to leave you wanting more so that we can talk about other things, be it, audience retention, or specifically about suggested traffic. We can maybe save that for another one of these live streams. Maybe we'll do once a month. So do let us know in the chat if you found that useful specifically. And then we can, talk about other things in future Q&As. But I think it's time to throw it over to all of you. Dan, you just seem to be picking up loads of positive comments here, which is good to see.
Yeah. Thank you all. And we're glad you found it helpful. Let's go now to this banner here, reminding you that if you want to ask your question, it really helps us out to put a big hashtag question at the start, because there's a lot of conversations happening amongst yourselves too, and it makes it easier for us to pick out your questions. We'll, if you have a question about analytics specifically today, that'd be awesome, but we'll take general questions today as well. Sometimes when we have guests, we like to focus our Q&As towards their specialties, but today we're a little more free-flowing.
And fair warning, as usual, I've now enabled slow mode, which means that you can only post every 60 seconds. We do that to help us pick out questions. Due to the fact that StreamYards still doesn't allow us to stack questions, so we have to pick a question, and then we're half looking for the next question as we're answering a question.
Yes, that's true. It's about to get real quiet in here, and then real noisy, and then real quiet again.
And this is where we're now. It's just now moments of silence where we look for a question.
Scrolling.
So let's pick this one first.
Oh,
depends what mood I'm in. I think I always like a McDonald's, but I kind of treat that as a very special occasion thing, like once a month. Whereas a pizza, you can kind of have one. Well, I'm saying you can kind of have, this is your health. But it feels like you can have a pizza on a more regular basis. And of course, if you can find the right pizzas, you can cook them at home in the oven. We found a particularly nice one, which has a stuffed crust, and that is really nice. But I always prefer Panago or Pizza Hut, or other pizza providers are available.
I think pizza's a little more planning, whereas McDonald's, this is all my experience with McDonald's. It's more like in the moment, like, oh, geez, I need dinner, Pizza, you probably plan that out. You're going to order pizza that night. I appreciate knowing what's going to happen, for dinner.
What I will say is my go-to takeaways or takeouts are usually Subway, because you feel as if you can justify a sandwich being more healthy, even though I think it's now been legally proven that bread from some Subway is not sandwiches. Or for all of you Canadian people, I think there was an Irish story about that.
There's
for all
something.
of you Canadian people, Tim Hortons, that is really good for just getting some soup or a sandwich along with some very tasty donuts. I think the equivalent would be Dunkin' Donuts for you in the US, Dan.
Yeah, probably. Or Starbucks, which I think you have Starbucks out there.
A bit more market is Starbucks.
Yeah. So excellent, dude. Excel tutorials. Look at that. So you've changed your name, which is very interesting. You're trying to be more specific with your name. Now, I really liked your former name, but this is specific. I think that was probably an interesting change. I wonder if it's, made any difference there. Anyway, if you started a channel with shorts, low watch time per video, okay, and then you switch to long form content, would YouTube see the increase view time per video as a sign to push your content more?
So YouTube would tell you no, because they treat each video on an individual basis. And so it doesn't necessarily mean that if there is an increase in watch time on your channel, that YouTube is going to promote future videos based off of that. How true that is a matter for conjecture and debate. So I wouldn't really worry too much about switching from long form to shorts or the other way around in terms of one specific metric, such as watch time. I think it's more about your audience's expectations and whether they want to see you go from shorts to longs or the other way around. But Dan, I think you have probably the better advice on this, given the success of your secret channel as it continues to grow.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about, like, I get what Excellent Dude's asking. I'm trying to think of what I've learned recently, how it would apply. But one thing, and if you listen to the BlockFacts podcast we just did, this comes up. BlockFacts noticed this. I noticed this. He was doing shorts, and eventually the short shelf was not dominating the views. It was browse. And I learned for myself that was a big indicator that I was getting a lot of return viewers to my shorts. And it enabled me to start making long form videos on the same channel. And I actually saw growth from that. I no longer need to rely, quote unquote, on the short shelf to like grow the channel. That's a separate lesson, I think, than what Excellent Dude's asking. But I think it kind of relates in that what I did is I used shorts to build an audience, and I made sure the shorts were consistent as did BlockFacts. So whenever you saw a short from BlockFacts, you knew it was this person again. Oh, this guy. You were more likely to watch them over and over, or not the same way. Maybe you'd watch the same one over, but you're more likely to watch all of them. And I think that's what your goal needs to be if you're making shorts in your channel or any video. Really, you want your audience to keep returning to your channel. You want them to be a returning viewer, and if you get enough of those, you can pivot to long form content just fine, as long as that long form content is similar or the same as your short form content. I hope that was helpful. Excellent, dude.
I don't know if all right, we'll bring this one up, but I don't know if we're able to tackle this. But
all right,
it's a unique question. How do we keep ourselves safe when collaborating with new creators? How do we set up an agreement for profits that will still be valid for years to come? So, is this based off of ad revenue from the video, or is it something bigger than that?
How are you collaborating with people where you feel like you need to set up a legal agreement?
I was thinking the same thing. Yeah.
I think now that maybe there's a very specific way you're collaborating, in which case, if you're putting this much into it, it might be time to talk to a legal professional.
Yes, exactly.
But depending on the size of your channel and where you're at, you may not want to make that kind of investment. So I'm going to tackle this from my own experience with collaboration. And that was, it was mutual in that I was putting something on my channel and the person who's collaborating with was putting something on their channel. At no point did we sit down and go, okay, if you make this much money, I get a cut of that, or no, that's not, oh gosh, that's not what it's not what it should be about. Your collaborations, I think, are going to get very complicated. Lately, when I see people collaborate in my own spaces, it's been very interesting because things have changed. Like before, when I saw people collaborating, this is mostly from a gaming perspective, everyone would share like a Minecraft server, and then they would all record their side of it and put their own perspective on their channels. Now what I'm seeing is creators will do separate projects. So one creator will come onto another's channel, they'll do a project together, and that video will only be on that one channel. And then later on, it'll be the opposite. They'll trade. Like, okay, now you come to my channel, we're going to do a video about this other thing. And so each of you get a video out of the deal. And it's up to you if that video doesn't get as many views as your collaborators did. That's fine. That's not a big deal. I think you're overcomplicating it if your experience has been anything like mine. But I know I'm speaking from a very specific experience.
I think you covered it excellently there, Dan. As you say, if the money's involved and you think there's going to be a significant amount of money to be made from this collaboration, then it's time to start speaking to a professional about it and getting a proper contract in place regarding that. But I think given the size of your channel, Tanner, you should be thinking more. I think you're a smaller channel. I think you should be more thinking about the potential sharing of audiences and how that can grow, as opposed to any income you might be earning from that.
If the person you're collaborating with is asking for something like that, you might be collaborating with somebody who I don't know, feels like you're getting more value out of this collaboration than they will. If that makes sense. That's the only other thing I can think of. I don't know why this would really come up in my own experience. Did you want to pull up the channel, or do you not want to get into a channel oddity thing?
I don't think it's necessary. No.
Okay, all right. So yeah, hopefully that helps though. If you're somebody who's going to collaborate, trade time, not money. If you spend X amount of time on a video with me, I will do the same for you. And that, I think, would be a much more equitable split. I would also be collaborating with people who are making similar content to you and are of a similar size. And if you want to base it off subscribers, fine. You could base it off of your channel's view counts, whatever that you decide that's based off of. But if you start getting into the weeds with contracts and money, that sounds like a huge business transaction. I would only imagine big time companies are dealing with those things, not individual gaming creators, for example. All right. So a lot of questions coming in. I've just been staring at the camera and not looking at them. So give me a minute.
All right. No, I did. Right. There was a question. I was just trying to get an answer for it. Okay. We'll do this one first.
Sorry. We're on the subject. So I've seen that you could get more views by collaborating. How do you find people that are similar to you that you could collab with? You start by joining that community So go into it from the perspective of, yes, I want to collaborate, but what does that really mean? You want to get involved in the community. So you will look for people who are covering a similar topic and are of a similar size. And if you want to start a relationship with them, you're going to need to provide value. Like, let's say they have a Discord server. You don't want to just jump in there and say, "Hey, my name is Dan, and I want to collaborate with you. I think we can make videos together." Like, but jump into the community and see what they're all about, and then participate in the conversation, and hopefully things kind of happen naturally, because you don't want to find yourself in a situation where you're collaborating, you're recording with somebody, and you maybe aren't on the same wavelength. Maybe you don't have the right chemistry or whatever. I think these collaborations should come from a more natural place, be a little more organic, and hopefully you already have something in common because you're covering the same topic. Now, can the two of you kind of be friends? So I don't know. I guess it's because personally I haven't really leveraged collaboration as a growth tactic too much, so that's all I can really say on it. I just think the more organic that can be, the better. So try to befriend people who are in your space, but don't force it.
I would also think about what you and the collaborator should be thinking along these same lines as well. What you can offer to the collaborator and vice versa. And that usually starts with giving something of value for free, whether it's, be offering helpful advice in the comments. A lot of people will maybe do like a musical montage of a big creator, or, the creator may have mentioned something in a video and then you just do it for them in a really nice gesture. And that's always one good way of getting people to notice. Like, for example, Zenzarius, who is an amazing moderator. We're aware of him and we know him because he timestamps all of our live streams, and that is fantastic. And so he provides an amazing piece of free resources every single week, and we want to help him going forward any way we can. And I think we have done with things from us here at vidIQ. And collaborations can be tricky, and they're learning experiences in themselves. So don't be afraid or put off if the first collaboration doesn't necessarily work as you intend. I think, especially when you're a singular creator, sharing your time with somebody else to get content created can be a challenge as well, in the same way as giving up certain control of your channel. It's sort of in the long run. And now I'm just rambling, so I don't know what else to say, Dan.
I think as you try and develop these relationships with folks, you should also just be ready to approach them after a certain point in time when you feel like, yeah, I think this person and I would get along, and now I'm in their community, they kind of know me. I would just say, like, message them one day and say, listen, I had this idea for a video. I think it'd be really fun if you join me for it. I thought that this role in the video would be perfect for you. If you're interested, let me know. And you don't bring it up ever again. You put the ball in their court and you back away, because nothing's more aggressive than someone going, did you think about it yet? Did you think about doing the video? Like, just, join the community. And if you feel like it's the right fit for you, then propose, engage collaboration, engage in collaboration and enjoy.
All right. I picked out this one from McNoobs. Spent a lot of time on content and tried to make it as much for my audience as possible, but my views are declining. Why is this? The short answer is we made 2 videos on this topic very, very recently about why is nobody watching your audience. One focuses specifically on the data, that being click-through rate and audience retention, because the data never lies. And then the second video is a bit about mindset and how, you might be thinking you're making content for your audience, but is that actually true? And many other things that you may want to consider there. And so I would recommend checking out those 2 videos. Because we don't know specifically anything about your channel, it's very difficult to answer this, but usually there is an answer, and the creator can just be a little bit blind to accepting what those answers may be. And so these 2 videos will help you, brainstorm a little bit what could be going on with your channel.
Be willing to try new things too. Be willing to experiment. Be willing to look at your analytics and be willing to determine that, hey, that thing I tried that I really was, liked, maybe it just underperformed. And what can I learn from that? And how can I make sure my next video, takes that prize?
I just want to quickly tackle this one because it's fairly obvious. Locks, however you pronounce your name. Question: recently experienced a huge blow up. How can I utilize this? I'm just going to put the screen on share his channel for 20 seconds and see if you can work out what the answer might be.
Whoa. Okay. Yeah, more of that.
Yeah. More satisfying Minecraft videos. I mean, what you can think about doing here is that, because I think these are likely shorts. Can I confirm that? You can maybe try and turn these into montages, which are longer than a short, or you can do just longer versions of these to experiment to try and leverage the monetization aspects of this, or the long form content of this. But this is your superpower. It's your incredible superpower. This is what was happening a couple of months ago. Now you're doing something else. The audience isn't that interested. I mean, here's a clear indication here. Satisfying logos, 120,000. And then when you do other stuff, you don't get as many views. Having said that, to still be getting 10,000, 17,000 views, 5,000 views, that's still pretty incredible. But you go back to that return audience analytic, and it's going to tell you exactly why they're coming back with what videos.
You should definitely listen to our podcast with BlockFacts if you haven't already. Can you go to BlockFacts channel when you're done looking at this one?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So
made any videos since he's back.
Oh, I can see. Look at that. 10-minute video. Oh, we gotta dig into that.
All right, look at that, 100,000 views. So he's taking the plunge.
10% of the subscribers, or 10% of the, you know what I mean, the ratio there.
I need to tell Jake Feldman this, because he's terrified of doing long form content on his channel. It's like, well, it works.
In our podcast with BlockFacts, we asked him straight up, because we noticed he took this break, and we said, well, okay, you took this break, what's the plan going forward? And he said, well, this is when he talked about the browse features suddenly overtaking his views on the short shelf, and wondering if that meant he could make long form content. I later told him that, hey, that's what I did and it worked for me. I wonder if it'll work for you too. And here we go. A 10-minute video on a shorts channel, over 100,000 views in a day. Okay. So but that's a whole nother really separate topic. What I want to point
out, after a break as well.
So month off.
Yeah.
That's a whole separate conversation. We could do a whole 2 hours on that alone. But the thing I want to go back to is the person asked the question here. How can you utilize where you blew up? You had a channel just like BlockFacts. You were doing a specific thing and you were doing it consistently. If you watch BlockFacts, you'll see it's the same thing over and over. It is facts about Minecraft blocks. The channel could not be more simple in concept. So go back to what you were doing and be that person. If you want to start experimenting with other styles of content and you do that on your channel, you're burning your return viewers. Do it on a separate channel if you have the time to do it. But
here's the interesting thing. This video here has probably earned more money than
all of those combined.
All of these videos
in
the space of 24 hours, just because of how shorts work.
BlockFacts told us, we don't even need to watch the video. BlockFacts straight up told us, if I do that, if I make a 10-minute video, it will be the same. It's going to be facts about Minecraft. That's my channel. So
350 million views. I reckon those 100,000 views have earned him the most money he's ever made on his channel.
Yep. He even tells us in the podcast how much money he's made.
He does, yeah. He does reveal it.
Prior to this video. So, yes, this is your answer. I know we're pointing to this channel a lot. It's my current favorite example because they're doing everything I've ever asked a YouTuber to do before. and it's working. And you were doing that. This satisfying Minecraft art you were doing is your channel now. And I think you should embrace it. It probably takes you a while to make these. It's probably not exactly easy, especially as you do more. You might start running low on ideas. Take a day to brainstorm. It's okay not to upload these daily.
Okay, so they are shorts. I can see that.
Yeah.
So what I might ask you, Dan,
that's so cool.
Is there a way to slightly transition? Like, what could they do if they're bored of doing satisfying Minecraft logos? Is there something that naturally leads from that? Maybe it's like satisfying bridge building, or satisfying explosions, or what another word for satisfying, like what could they potentially do? Again, we're just kind of brainstorming of how this channel may be able to pivot a little bit if I want to do something a little different.
I think what I would do, and I would keep it, I would transition very slowly, you know, but the first thing that popped in my head, instead of logos and these square icons, satisfying Minecraft, I'm trying to think of what the title here, dream build or something. Basically, you draw a dream in the same way that you were drawing these logos and icons. And, you know, as you experiment with more things to draw, maybe then you could do one where instead of this block dropping thing, somehow redstone populates the screen in some really creative way. But you have an audience that wants to watch satisfying videos similar to this. And if you're going to try anything radical, I'm not kidding, I would start a second channel. You know, that's what I would do.
So either that was a very fascinating question about doubling down on your best content, or Lilox was just flexing.
Hey, that's cool too. Your channel's huge. You're doing amazing. And if you go back to what you were doing before, that, like we just saw Block Facts, you could take a whole month off from your channel. You can come back, and you know, the pivot for you shouldn't be how do I get out of making these cool little icons. It should be how do I start making revenue. And you can test, especially if you've noticed that browse is overtaking your short shelf views, you can test a long form video, but make it the same. Do a 5-minute massive build, you know, where the blocks are dropping and it just keeps going, and at the end this big reveal. That's what I would be doing.
Whew, that was a meaty question to jump into there, wasn't it? But it got us all excited about just the potential of a channel when they hit on something.
I'm gonna refresh chat. Whew. Okay, very simple question here. I have a gaming channel. Should I use YouTube ads to grow my channel? No. If you want to spend money and invest in your channel, I think you should work on thumbnails. I think so that could be investing in a course that you take to get better at Photoshop, for example, or Photoshop if you're using something else. Find different ways to invest in yourself as a creator. You know, if you're like, I hate making thumbnails though, then maybe you could take that money and hire a thumbnail artist. But YouTube ads, in my own findings, I haven't tested them for myself, but I've just seen people try. It doesn't grow that organic audience. Like those get a bunch of views, but it doesn't really equal returning viewers at all. People watch, and if they can, they skip as fast as they can, or they'll watch it, but they're there to watch something else. The ads being shown to them, they're there to watch something else. That's why people use it for products, you know, because they'll keep hitting you over the head with their product while you're trying to do things in life. And the next time you're like putting on socks and they have giant holes in them, you're like, well, I did see an ad for Bombas. So, you know, the other day 7 times. So I guess I'll buy some of those. It doesn't really work the same for YouTube videos.
Should you spend money on YouTube ads to grow your channel? Sure, if you just want to get more subscriber numbers and more view numbers. Should you spend money on YouTube ads if you want to grow an audience? No.
I know I could have said that, but
I'm just saying, should I now explain the difference between a channel and audience?
Yes, but I like ranting too.
Yeah, I guess like the reason 200 people are watching this live stream now is not because we've advertised it to you through YouTube ads. It's because you've watched some of our previous content, you've watched some of our live streams, you know the value of the channel, and that's why you're returning. Not because, you know, we've been singing and dancing and trying to put ourselves in your face as much as possible. At least I hope that's the truth.
Well, we're not doing much singing and dancing, so I think we're good.
Well, I can always try. We did that once, and you certainly didn't like it.
Yeah. I don't think they did either. I think everyone just
left.
I
can believe I can fly.
You can what?
Believe I can touch the sky.
Right, I have
even know what the lyrics are for this
song. And YouTube has stopped pushing my content.
We're gonna get copyright striked. Carry on. Okay. I can be a hero, baby. Carry on.
Okay. One second. All right. I have 185,000.
Hang on, what happened
there? YouTube stopped pushing your content. You've experience. Your channel is not new. You don't know how to break out of the cycle and get your content to new viewers. I feel like this is a challenge. I feel like we're supposed to pull up the channel. We're not doing channel audits today. But
all right, well, so the first question I ask here is, what do you mean by YouTubers stop pushing your channel? That would be my first question. Is it a reduction in impressions? Is it just a sudden drop off in views, like all of a sudden, like from one day to another, views have just tanked? If that is the case, then what that might be is YouTube has what's the term? No, it's not ad restricted. They put your content in restricted mode. If there's something sudden like that, so that could be a reason for it. But yeah, I guess it's one of those where we have to start bringing up the video in the background. All right, let's have a look then. Let's see if we can work this out. There's no promises here. So for a channel with 200,000 subscribers, I'm just looking at the view counts here and seeing 20,000, 15,000, 28,000. On the surface, to me, that looks pretty good. That seems like a solid channel with a solid audience getting plenty of views. But you're saying that in the last 6 months, views are down. So let's scroll back to 3-4 months ago. So here we're at 30,000, 80,000. Okay, so yeah, the views are a little higher. I don't know if this is because your videos have somewhat of an evergreen element to them, so they just continue to get views. And then 6-7 months ago, we're into the 60s and the hundreds. So yeah, there does seem to have been a drop off, but there doesn't seem to have been a sudden drop off. I think, again, I would be looking at the data first. I would be seeing if there's been any particular decline in traffic sources. I think, especially from suggested, I would assume you're getting a lot of your views from either browse or suggested. If it's suggested, then you can try and look at what videos were driving traffic to you back then. Maybe you were following a particular theme or topic that was resonating really well, and interest in that topic has just waned over time. If it's not that, and if it's on browse, then maybe it's something to do with your thumbnails and titles that just aren't as appealing as they were before. And again, it may be something seasonality wise in that you were benefiting from people being at home a lot more because of lockdown, and they were watching your content. But these are just all thoughts and suggestions. There doesn't seem to be any clear reason why your channel may not be getting as many views as it previously was.
Can we look at the newer titles? Because all the ones we just saw were very light bulb to me. Like I understood everything that was going to happen in that video just by looking at the title, and I'm trying to see if it's the same now. Hiking through a prehistoric rock garden, day in the life vlog. I got my 25-pound cat shaped like a lion. If you flinch, you lose. Okay, I mean, I guess they're similar to how they were. We had a whole bunch of videos up there that every single title, I'm like, that sounds interesting. That sounds like stalking like you try and stalk celebrities and things like that. And maybe what my suggestion was going to be was maybe your content got more complex. Maybe it's just that light bulb moment's kind of missing for a new viewer. Interesting.
Yeah, it's just dropped a little bit. We're looking at like what, 200, 300,000 views a week, and that's down at 160. So it's maybe dropped 40, 50%. Again, it could be just the time of the year, and the obvious analytic we would also be looking at here is your return viewers. So really scrutinizing this. Set it to 24 hours. Sorry, 24 hours for the entirety of 2021. And my guess is that I'm going to guess it's the purple line that's just slowly declining over time. And what is the reason for that? But unfortunately, we just don't have the silver bullet answer here for you.
Right. But hopefully that offered you some level of help as you try and figure out what's going on. Using the community tab. That's good.
On a regular basis. So there doesn't look to be anything inherently wrong with the channel. It doesn't feel as if a switch has been flicked or anything. Are there other channels who are similar to you who've tried to, I guess, muscle in on your audience, and they just happen to be doing it in a different or better way? That could be another potential reason. But again, I'm just thinking of all of the potential reasons why the channel may be not doing as well as it was previously.
I recently saw a big growth spurt by looking at the videos and the channels that my audience is watching, thanks to that metric we have from YouTube. And I looked specifically at channels, and some of them were similar to my size. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. A lot of my viewers are watching this channel, and I did some investigating, and I saw something they did, and I thought, oh, I can do something similar, and 200,000 views. So
Catherine, you should definitely have access to these two tools, considering the size of your channel and the data that you have, and that's the audience tab on the studio.
Yeah. So good luck. And again, just a reminder, we're not really doing channel audits, but that was a very intriguing question from a channel that has reached those heights that a lot of you probably hope to reach, and is still asking these types of questions.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It's kind of an interesting one here from Short Reviews. I've been doing a lot of live streams lately with 4 different games, but if I niche down to just 1 or 2 games, YouTube would probably recommend my videos more? Question mark. Look at the data. Which game? There's probably just one that you play. Which one of those gets the most views? It's not about YouTube pushing it out. It's more about your audience coming back for it, because with live streaming, you can grow more if more people are watching live in the moment. You know what I mean? So we have 200 viewers right now on this live stream. If you started a live stream about the same exact topic right now, and you put all the live streams going on about this topic alongside each other, yours would fall way, way back. So you want as many viewers as you can, so you push towards the top of that. I'm talking more about the game. You know what I'm talking about? The section on YouTube where you pick the game and it tells you who's live right now. And yeah. So anyway, I'm kind of rambling a little bit, but I just don't think the question is YouTube going to push me more if I just niche down to one game. It's what is your audience asking for, and what is the data telling you? So yeah, I always think if you niche down to one thing, you have the best chance of getting people to return, because it's consistent. They know Short Reviews is going to stream this game.
You're talking about this, right, Dan?
Yes. So in the gaming section especially, it's very, very valuable. If you scroll down just a tiny bit. Yeah, so those are the channels that are live now, and you'll notice all the biggest channels are at the top. Scroll up a little bit. Right there. All the biggest channels are at the top, and as you keep going, it's not perfect. Some have 177 views, but then the next one's 14K and the next one's 1.3. It's not like Twitch where it's like largest to smallest. It's obviously other things are at play there, but for the most part, the biggest channels are at the top of that. So I just wanted to point that out. This section is a really interesting section of YouTube that I think not a lot of people even look at.
I did quickly have his channel up, and so it looks like Among Us, Brawl Stars, Roblox, and Minecraft. And I think whenever I'm some very simple data here, but Minecraft live streams tend to get about 100, maybe 200 at best. And then Among Us, type in properly, I can't spell Among Us. What are we looking at here? 400, 300. So I think that's double the audience there. So that seems like one indicator. And then Brawl Stars, we're looking at 600, 300, 600, 900. So it seems to me, definitely drop Minecraft from your schedule, just because your audience is basically telling you that.
Yep.
And then maybe Brawl Stars seems to be the biggest one. But if you want to play live stream 2 games right now, go ahead.
So if you click on Brawl Stars real quick.
Just one of the live streams?
Yeah, I want to see the Brawl Stars gaming sections, just because let's get a snapshot right now of who's live playing Brawl Stars.
So if I do that.
Yep, browse game.
Right. Okay. Right.
So this section's always a good snapshot to see what's going on.
Yeah.
There's a lot more going on here than I expected, with plenty of streams over 1,000 concurrent viewers, but then it jumps. There's a 55 viewer one, a lot of different languages too. So you can almost discount those. because you're not those viewers wouldn't come to watch you anyway.
It's not quite as competitive though, is it? I mean,
right, exactly.
There's opportunity there for smaller channels to have some influence.
And that's, I guess that's initially why I was pointing this section out, because it kind of gives you a good perspective of who's live, who are the types of channels being pushed. Because if you see them here, you're seeing them in the search results too. Like they're going to pop up in different spots of YouTube. So there's less people streaming, which is better for you, which may be one of the reasons you're seeing more views on those streams.
Mm-hmm. I've never played with these tabs before. There's a Let's Play tab.
Yeah, exactly. It's really cool. And there's different types of tabs for different games too. Like I compared Ark and Minecraft once, and they had different tabs based on just, I think, the types of videos people were making. I don't know if it's generated with AI or someone actually goes in for each game and decides what tabs are relevant. But yeah, if you're ever looking for ideas too, that section can be great for. I made a whole video on this, but I don't remember what it was called. All right.
Somebody asked the question about a microphone, I think. Was it this one? Should I start making commentary gameplay videos or no commentary gameplays until I get a good microphone? I guess let's tackle the commentary question first. I think Dan and I are both in an agreement that it is harder to create something new and unique that viewers can't get anywhere else if there is no commentary on the game, if it is just gameplay. If you're doing something like an intriguing montage or something that's really edited to inject comedy into it or some sort of pacing, then I don't think commentary is necessarily required. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to assume that you are playing a game. You're either doing a let's play or a walkthrough, and in that instance, you want to create something fresh which viewers can't get from anywhere else. Having said that, I think Dan and I also agree that let's play content is so overdone at this point that it's just not enough to play a video game and expect people to watch, because viewers have so many options from so many well-established creators already. So that's the broader perspective. Now, in terms of until you get a good mic, I would just say currently work with what you have. Mm-hmm. And yes, I think improving, getting a good microphone is probably one of the first tech investments you want. But I wouldn't necessarily not do commentary because you don't have a good microphone at this point.
I'm trying to pull something up real quick.
Sure.
Let me just hit F11 on that. I'm gonna be looking in a weird direction while I do this, but anyway, share this screen, please. Okay, so this is Steve or Stevie or whatever. This channel breaks all the rules. They upload multiple videos a day. They're short, but they're not shorts. They're widescreen shorts, so they're not showing up on the short shelf. The titles are all like lowercase and they're not very descriptive at all. Ignore all of that. Actually, Nate from Channel Makers did a whole video on this channel, which is worth watching if you want to know more about his thoughts on why this is all happening. The reason I pulled it up is because there's another thing that's unique about this channel. It's a no commentary channel, in that every video does not have commentary. It features funny music. In fact, I think it's the same song every time, and really fun, upbeat edits. So it tells a story without talking, and it makes the viewer laugh, or they learn something, or whatever. There's like some redstone. There's all kinds of cool stuff going on here. So if you don't have a good microphone, one of my new pieces of advice for everybody is, do you have any kind of skills like this or ideas like this come to mind when you see channels like this? Can you make a video that transcends language? It doesn't require commentary because it doesn't need to, because you've made it funny or interesting without talking, and you rely heavily on sound effects and music for the actual like audio fix there. So if you don't have a good microphone, but you look at this and you start, your creative juices are going, maybe you're the kind of person who can make this kind of content. I don't think everybody can, but I think this content is superior to Let's Plays. Steve E doesn't have to do Let's Plays. They never have to touch Let's Plays, and they're going to continue to see growth. You know what I mean? So Let's Plays are tough. Let's Plays are not a great way to grow. And when I hear people talk about I want to do gameplay videos, but I don't have a microphone, I hear someone saying I want to do Let's Plays, and it's so competitive. Minecraft itself is already competitive, and channels like this are blowing up because they're breaking the mold. Really, is what's happening. So can you break the mold in any kind of way? And I think by not having a microphone, that's a fun challenge. Don't see that as a disadvantage. You could use that as a challenge. Anyway, sorry, you kind of laughed there, so I stopped.
I was thinking,
being self-conscious.
I wouldn't think of not having a microphone as being a fun challenge. I'd find that really frustrating, to be honest.
It would be, but at the same time, if you're forced to work within parameters, maybe for me, that always made me more creative. But other people are going to experience everything differently. So,
what I will say about microphones is that Zavivi, I don't know what your budget is, but you should be able to get a lapel microphone from Amazon, possibly for $15 or less, which will be enough to have a decent enough audio to go on YouTube. So the good news is it's relatively inexpensive to fix that issue, if that's what's really holding you back. The Singhals. This is a fairly basic question, but I don't mind tackling it. What should I look for, I guess, in YouTube analytics? Like, what are important metrics to keep an eye on? We recently started our life about, not recently started our life, recently started our channel about life in Germany. So, Dan, if we were going to go all the way back to basics here,
okay,
what analytics would we look at? Maybe you pick one and I pick one.
Okay, so you just started. Important metric to keep an eye on. Just recently started a channel about life in Germany. So you don't have a lot of videos, which is why I'm like struggling to think of something.
Right. Okay. Well, maybe that is kind of like the first answer is that first of all, you need data and as much as possible to start making informed data-driven decisions. And so I've suggested in the past, make 50 videos and then start looking at what you have to understand just the basics of making YouTube content and finding out whether or not you enjoy making YouTube content. Because if you start to grow and you're successful, you're going to be doing a hell of a lot of it whenever you have any free time.
So you've made 50 videos though, and then what? Then
right.
What's the first thing you look at? And I would be looking at, first I'd look at raw view counts, because you're probably going to make different kinds of videos, and you'll notice that certain ones, hopefully anyway, you'll notice that certain ones tend to do better than others. And then I would start digging into those videos with the higher view counts to see what it was about them. You might compare their retention to see, okay, was it retention that got these ones lower views? And then there's so many things to look at, so it's hard to just pick out one. But assuming it's about topic and you got a ton of views on this one topic, but not as many on the other, I'd be digging into that more, seeing where did those views come from? Did they come from search? Did they come from recommended? Did they, suggested? And finding, enough patterns to confirm that, yes, I should double down on this. Sorry, my brain's going faster than my mouth can keep up because I'm just trying to put myself in their shoes, and it's hard.
So I think the three analytics from a very basic perspective you should be looking at are click-through rates, because that represents the quality of your pitch to a potential viewer in terms of a thumbnail and the title. Then I would be looking at audience retention, because you can play about with video lengths later to increase watch time, but audience retention represents the actual quality of the content itself. And then, as a relatively new metric, I would be looking at your audience return viewers, because that represents the quality of your audience and how much they're likely to watch more of your content. But I think, as I mentioned to begin with, you're only going to be able to really get this data through volume. And so that's going to require 25, 50 videos before you can really start to make some informed decisions about how your channel's performing. But I wish the best of a luck on your new YouTube journey. Welcome to YouTube.
Thank you for making that way more simple.
I don't know if it was.
Yes, best of luck to you. I'm starting to look for another question here. There's a couple actually just above the one you chose. So like this question here. Does consistency matter a lot? And can I be consistent through a month period? And will YouTube recognize my content through this period? Consistency matters, but it's not the only thing. So,
right.
well, you know what I mean? Like, you can't say I upload a video every day, so therefore YouTube will recommend my channel if those videos are all about different topics. You know, it's going to be on a per video basis. I think when you think of the word consistency, there should be two things. It shouldn't just be the amount of times you upload in a period of time. It should be the type of content you make as well. Consistency needs to be across the board before, you know, I can say, yeah, that matters. Assuming it is, though, then yes, but trying to think about it is, will YouTube recognize my content? Will YouTube give me the attention that I want? It's more about, are you going to reach an audience? Can YouTube find an audience for that content? Is how I'd be phrasing this question. Yeah, I just want to get people away from that. Like, YouTube is the all-knowing God here, and they decide. It's not really like that.
Consistency is massively important, but there's a lot of different ways to approach the word consistency in the same way as channel focus or niching down might be something that has a lot of different angles to it. So it's not only posting on a regular basis or a regular cadence for your audience, whatever that is, but it's the consistency of the topics. It's the consistency of the thumbnails. It's the consistency of the quality of the videos. It's the consistency of your interaction with your audience, and so on and so on and so on. I mean, I think sometimes I feel as if vidIQ's consistency is the backbone of its success, because no matter how one live stream or one video has performed, we still turn up every single day to make more content. I'm sort of half waiting for this question to be asked to me now as to, Rob, what do you think the success is behind vidIQ? And my answer more and more is going to be a single word, and that's relentless. Just always turning up and just going again and again and again and again, whatever the topic is, whatever style of video it is. That breeds consistency over a long form to hopefully get to where you need to be. And so this is why patience is also really key in all of this.
Well, the other reason consistency isn't the only thing to worry about too is, let's say today you start a channel on DigDug and everything about, like, everything you can think of. Like, I'm going to make a DigDug channel. It's going to be DigDug all the time, you know, and you're consistent with your thumbnails. You're consistent with the type of video you're making. It's a specific kind of DigDug video every single time. You're not getting any views. YouTube isn't finding an audience. And that's because certain topics might not have a very big audience at all. And the reason I said DigDug is because I'm trying to think of a game that's old that no one would ever search for right now because it's just past its prime. So if you're being consistent and you're still not seeing results, it might be time to look into the topic you're covering and, you know, do some research.
Superior Squish. I do like that channel name.
I like that name.
My videos usually get 30 to 100 views. I posted a YouTube Shorts the other day. It goes as usual, and then all of a sudden, 3 to 5 days later, pop, it gets 2,000 views. Is a reason why this happened, and the reason is it's YouTube Shorts. Mm-hmm. To give you a more informed answer, what it seems to be, because of the unusual way that videos are discovered on YouTube Shorts, my guess is that for a period of time, YouTube will decide, you know what, somebody's started a YouTube Shorts session, so they're watching a video, and now we're going to insert Superior Squish's video 6 in the playlist for this number of viewers for the next 2 or 3 hours. So you get tons of views, because when you think of how YouTube has to experiment with shorts, they can only experiment with them by playing the video in front of a viewer. Whereas with videos themselves, they experiment by putting a thumbnail and a title on the browse page or the suggested feed or what's next. So just the way that a video is consumed on Shorts is very different, but that's how YouTube's going to test it. Now, what may have happened, Superior Squish, is that you got 2,000 views very quickly, and then all of a sudden they stopped because YouTube decided this video, we tried it in shorts, it's not worked, we're moving on to the next one. So it's basically a different discovery system that's in play. And unfortunately, fortunately, depending on the quality of your content, as YouTube figures out shorts more and more, you'll find this happening probably a lot less. I think, Dan, you've talked about this, how the views on your channel are shifting from just being shorts to being from browse features or suggested. And now that's influenced how you're creating your content, that it's no longer YouTube shorts per se.
Mm-hmm. Well, and just judging by their avatar, they're a Minecraft channel.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And so I think for me, it was easier because my topic is so much smaller than Minecraft. And there's therefore is not as much competition in the short shelf than there is with Minecraft. So Minecraft, I've seen more recent Minecraft graphs that look like this. It's flat, straight up, and then flat again. That's because there's so many shorts in Minecraft for YouTube to test that they're still testing them this way, where they just get some real estate on the short shelf for a limited time. They flatline again. But then eventually, if that video is good, it got enough positive signals during the test, it looks like YouTube will give it more regular real estate on a more calm level where you won't see another massive spike, but just a slow uptick, you know? And part of it is for me is the topic. So it's kind of hard to advise because I was just in a way different space when this happened to me.
I got a brilliant question here, but I have no idea how to answer it, Dan. So I'm going to throw this one over to you.
Oh, great.
No, so this channel does 360 videos. Any recommendations about 360 videos? Where do we start with that one?
I mean, talk about a niche audience.
But the interesting thing is that niche is starting to rapidly expand given the success of the Quest 2.
Yeah,
that's where I've entered the VR space now, in that I have a VR headset. But I must admit, I never watched anything on YouTube with it.
Yeah, and it would be so easy to do that too. Just you think about it, it's for games, so you don't really think to go on YouTube and just keep it on your head while you're doing your normal interneting. I'm
just right.
My recommendation would be dig into the data.
I've done a search for just 360 as a title.
That's really cool.
It doesn't really help us here. These are all massive channels.
Yeah.
So I want to know what like smaller channels are doing in a 360 space. So I don't know, let's do this week. Okay, that's a news channel.
Yeah, that's not very.
Hang on. There we go. That should filter it properly. Wow. So people are doing these Minecraft 360s. Whoa.
Wow. So, you know how I've talked about in the past, like, barrier to entry? This is that. Like, if you have the ability to make this content on a regular basis, you have a high barrier. You're in a high barrier to entry space. Not everyone can make these, you know what I mean, without extra tools and knowledge. So my advice to you would be the same advice I'd give any channel. You want to be consistent in its type of content you're making. So RPM Auto Studio sounds like a car channel. I would test different ideas you've had for 360 videos and keep putting them out there and seeing, what's working and what's not. And once you find a style of video that resonates with an audience, to double down on it. That's the most basic advice I can.
It seems massively gaming oriented as I just continue to scroll down. I mean, we're now getting into other stuff, but it's like 50 views on some of that stuff. But whenever there's a game that comes up, the view counts are significantly higher.
So look at it from that perspective then of who is this for? And the gaming audience and the theme park audience recognize that it's for immersing you in an experience, So you can look through the eyes of a lens during a real life protest, or you could go to a fun theme park and immerse yourself in this experience that's, difficult to get your hands on, be inside the game of Minecraft with your favorite YouTuber who's running around, and you get to look around and I don't know. I just think that this kind of content is going to do well if it's a certain thing.
The other question that you need to answer as a creator, and this is very similar to shorts channels right now, is how much 360 content do you offer versus regular viewing content? Because you have to think about the audience's expectations / requirements to watch your content. Let's say they're watching 9 videos about your car reviews, because I did have a channel up here. Or you're looking at car stuff, and this just all looks like normal video on demand stuff. And then all of a sudden you have a 360 video, and that excludes probably 95% of your audience. So do you have a separate 360 only channel? I feel as if that's more of a yes than it would be for whether or not you'd have a separate shorts and longs channel. I don't know, Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, I do too, because you may be covering the same topic, but it's still for a different audience. Your audience needs to have the patience for a 360 video. Anyone can watch a 360 video, by the way. I mean, you just take your phone you just have to literally move around your room with your phone in your hand to see the video and get that effect. But if someone's just trying to get some information or something, they may not want to put up with that. They might just want to get the information in a normal format. So I'd be doing these on a separate channel, or just dedicate this channel to 360 content if that's what you want to do.
I guess I can. Oh, I can do it.
You can. Oh, there you go. Cool. So you can. You don't need your phone. That's good. Now this feels very specific. Like, I want to see the interior of this Audi, and
it's just music as well. I don't think there's any commentary.
Yeah. This almost belongs on a website for the car itself. You're not going to get a lot of views. There's nothing exciting going on, but it's helpful. It's helpful to a person at a specific moment of time thinking about maybe picking up one of these cars.
Another thing as well is I don't need to see 1 minute 44 video on something that doesn't move anywhere. I'm done now.
Right.
Unless you say, if you look above your head and then you have an arrow pointing at like 50 seconds, we have these air vents or whatever. Or let's move into the front. Do you move into the front here?
So it looks like there's different sections of the car.
It does change a little bit. Yeah. Okay. So there is a bit of movement there. Right. Okay. But is there any commentary? No, it's just music.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a tough one. I think you've made videos that are so niche that you couldn't hope to have a channel like those ones we were looking at. You're going to need to give people an experience is, I think, the easiest thing I could say. That's what I was kind of trying to allude to before.
I think, is this a 360? Or is he using a 360 camera? Or I thought he was at some point. Oh, maybe not. I'm sure the thumbnail showed me some 360 action going on there, but perhaps, I can't move it. Okay.
All right. So a lot of questions coming in. Sorry.
Oh, there's a bit of 360.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I've got now. I do actually have one of these cameras that can do that, but I just can't be bothered figuring out how to use it. Anyway, yeah, we've spent quite a bit of time on that one without really any sufficient answers. But it's the first time we've even thought about how a 360 creator operates on YouTube.
Yeah. So thank you for your question. It's definitely got us thinking. All right. Just looking through here what we got.
I can kind of... Oh, sorry. It wasn't that one. It was this one. Right. So why do Australia and America have higher RPMs than India? So let's just be clear on what RPM is. RPM is a combination of CPM, so that's ad revenue income, as well as other forms of income from YouTube, such as super chats, memberships, and so on. The simple answer is it's, I guess, global economics. The average income in India is less than in Australia and America, which means that people have less disposable income, which means that the advertising behind what people can potentially buy on YouTube is probably completely different. Now, I will follow up that by saying I have literally just started a video this morning on explaining what CPMs are. So that should hopefully answer your question a little bit more complete. And there's also the question of your demographics in terms of video topic. If you're a channel about finance, or what would be another good one, like education, where you know the audience maybe has more disposable income and they're trying to reach a viewer with more spending power, then the ad rates are going to be higher, as opposed to a gaming channel where you assume that there's a lot of younger people watching who maybe don't have as high a disposable income or none at all. Then the adverts may lean towards things that are less expensive or cheaper, and it's advertisement at scale as opposed to targeting certain people to buy products. That's the very quick answer to why that is.
I have a classic question here.
All right.
It seems like I get more views when I don't try on making videos when I work really hard. And I only get about 10 to 20 views. Why is that?
So, Twade, what are we going to do? You want to, next time you make a video, you just want to put your feet up and just create casually, and you'll get all of the views.
That looks very uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah. And now you know I'm wearing shorts.
So, well, it's the theme of the podcast. The live stream today is shorts, apparently. One of the things I always try to remind people is that nobody knows all the effort you put into a video if they're not clicking into it in the first place. So if the thumbnail isn't quite up to snuff, if the title isn't quite up to snuff, or if the topic is something no one's really searching for, nobody knows the time you put into it. So I would make sure that you identify, the topic you want to make a video on, and make sure you have all that down. Like, this is solid. I know people are searching for it. I know this is going to be valuable to them. And then from there, allow yourself, cut yourself some slack on maybe the editing. Let it be good enough. Sometimes you can get caught up editing a video for so many hours and then overthinking it too in the process, and then not uploading it because you're just like sitting there with this video that you're trying to make sure looks as good as it possibly can because you need high quality content. It's okay to let certain things slide. Make sure your audio is good. That's number one. And from there, Rob, I don't know if you have more technical advice to that point, but the biggest thing is making a video that is going to get clicked on in the first place.
Yeah, I think that's it. It's often when this happens, it's because you don't fully understand your audience yet. And the pitch of the video, thumbnail and title, which you didn't spend that long on probably, was just far more enticing to the viewer so that they watch the video. I mean, as Dan says, nobody knows how much time and effort you've spent on the video, and nobody will do if they never click on it, which is why the thumbnail and the title is so important. Just to give you an example recently of where this has kind of happened for me, this one down here, 25 things you didn't know about the YouTube studio. That took ages to make because I was just doing so much screen recording and scripting of the YouTube studio. But is it a really interesting topic for our audience? And the view counts would seem to suggest not. It kind of did all right, but it didn't do fantastically. Now, the video I made about, where was it? This one, the one under 1,000 subscribers one. I'm pretty sure that took a less time to make because it was just in front of camera and recording and editing rather than screenshotting and creating graphics. And that video's got 100,000 views. So it happens to all of us, but I guess it's what I did next, which was important. And I followed up with how to get 1,000 subscribers from one video because I knew that thumbnail and title worked and I had more to say about the topic. And that's now got close to 50,000 views. So effort, I guess in one sense, effort means nothing if you don't know what your audience wants.
There's a niche I'm very interested in, but no one has made an actual video about that niche yet. I think a channel about that niche has a lot of potential. What do you think?
Well, what's a niche? Are you sure anybody else cares about it?
That's the first thing. No one's made a video on it. Maybe it's too new, though. Maybe a lot of creators haven't discovered what you've discovered. What it sounds like you're doing is you're making a bet on something. You think this is going to be big. Maybe it's not now, but it's going to be. I want to be first. So what I would do is make the new channel you're thinking of making, go in with no expectations, and make maybe 1 to 3 videos. Make one that's like, what is blah blah blah, whatever it's called, why you should play or why you should buy blah blah blah. You know, make a couple very generic videos like that, and just keep an eye on it. Let it sit for a bit. Don't go all in on that, because I've done that, and I've been burned several times, because sometimes, like especially in gaming, somebody makes something and you love it, but you found it because you were searching really hard for something you were going to enjoy in the indie space, for example, like I was. And then they didn't have the marketing budget to like get it to where it needed to be. And then no one ever found out about it. I certainly wasn't bringing any attention to it. And then, you know, video series over. So that's how I would approach it. If you really do believe in it, you test it.
Dragon Master Airlines, if you're willing to share it in the comments, do. And if we can catch it, we'll maybe do like a little bit of research on it now, just see what we find out. Nerdy Maimed asks why it takes 10 freaking minutes to answer a single question. Because for some questions, there's a lot of detail that we want to go into, whereas others, there's not much to talk about, like this one.
What? Keep in mind, just like with channel audits, we tell people like, hey, just because we're not auditing your channel doesn't mean there's not value here for you. I've been seeing a lot of questions and I've been skipping them when I feel like we've already answered them. And maybe you just got here and you didn't see us answer it, which in that case, you could just kind of skim through the live stream and it's over. But maybe there's a chance it wasn't your question we were answering and you kind of tuned it out. So not accusing that person or anyone of doing that, just saying, I have noticed repeat questions. I have deliberately been skipping those.
And then the next question is, why do you take 10 freaking minutes trying to find the next question to answer?
Let's see. Some of these are so specific to experiences that I think maybe like that person is having, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll pick this one out. Why do some channels struggle to get watch time, good retention, but an easier time getting subs? I've never seen that. Like, I can't get anyone to watch my videos, but I get subscribers unless they're doing some metric manipulation. There's too many like what ifs there to answer. So it's like questions like this are kind of hard to answer.
I guess the answer, is a little bit how vidIQ and other education utility channels do that, in terms of we provide really good value, and for that moment in time when a viewer needed an answer to a question, is like, oh, that was brilliant, I'm subscribing to this channel because maybe I'm going to need them again in the future. And then they never do need the channel again in the future. So they get lots of subscribers, but they don't necessarily get a loyal audience. And of course, with education utility channels, people aren't necessarily wanting to give you a lot of watch time and loyalty. They just want an answer to a question.
What app can we new YouTubers use to edit our videos and also to create thumbnails that pop, so to speak? And what's the best cheap camera? So did we talk to someone recently about this stuff? We did. The podcast hasn't come out yet. There's a YouTuber we talked to. This is more of a Google question, right? Like I'm set in my ways. I use Adobe Premiere and Adobe Photoshop for my thumbnails, Premiere for my editing. I have money that I pay for that. It is an investment into my creative endeavors. So that's kind of how I look at it. And a lot of people look for free editing software. If that's the case, I would Google it, look for the best rated one. I mean, I know Canva is something people use for thumbnails a lot. This is always hard to advise on. But for me, if you were looking for a recommendation from someone who's been using something they're paying for a long time, Adobe is my recommendation.
So on Mac, obviously, there's iMovie. I think that's probably the best place to start because it's free. Chaps, if you know of a decent Windows alternative, which is free, the first one that's jumping into my head is Windows Movie Maker, but that's perhaps a little too old and simplistic these days.
There is an app when you just search in Windows for video editor. There's an app that comes up. I've never used it.
Yeah,
but it's there.
I mean, to get you started with something relatively cheap Filmora, I think, is a pretty comprehensive video editor. I think it's less than $100. But then, as you say, Dan, after that, you're looking into Camtasia, Sony Vegas Pro, Adobe Premiere, Final Cut Pro, etc., etc., etc. Canva, I think, is always the recommended one for free thumbnail creation because they have so many templates that are available there. I think what you just got to remember is that because it's free and there's lots of templates, your thumbnail can look quite similar to others unless you add a lot of unique and distinctive flair. The best cheap camera, I think you get a different answer from every single creator, and it depends on your budget. I mean, usually you might be watching this live stream with a very good camera already, especially if it's an iPhone or one of the more expensive Samsung Galaxy phones. That should get you started. But for an actual point and shoot camera, I mean, to get something decent, your starting budget is probably about $500, isn't it, Dan? Anything less than $500, you're probably going to be able to do it with a phone that you have, unless you have a really poor quality smartphone.
Yeah, you can definitely.
Any examples?
It's just the spectrum's so wide. Like, you can start with a phone. You can even edit on your phone. There's a lot you can do with just a phone. D Nimmin, it's a great channel to look at if you are going to be a mobile content creator and you're looking for those kind of tips. But this can get as expensive as it needs to get, as you want it to get, because you can get cameras that are several $1,000s. You can spend on editing software and all this stuff. It's a pretty broad spectrum, and it really depends on your budget.
You might want to go old school and pick up a camcorder. And just because I think at a cheaper price point, a camcorder is going to give you better video quality than the point and shoots that you get at that price range.
That's true.
And I use a camcorder for a long time, a Panasonic 920, I think. That served me really well. But then I went for a DSLR as my next upgrade. But yeah, for a DSLR, you're looking at least $750, $500, that type of price bracket. Oh, DaVinci Resolve. Thank you. Somebody's been suggesting that.
Oh, right.
But it's very complicated that as your first video editor. I am aware of that.
It can be. It definitely, yeah. You're going to be in a lot of tutorials trying to learn that.
Yeah, you're going to be spending tons of money on Skillshare or whatever to work out how to use it. I was just thinking of like an iMovie alternative for Windows, and I can't think of one off the top of my head that's free.
Yeah, whatever that is that lives in Windows, I haven't tried it. If you just type in video editor in your search bar, maybe it'll do enough to let you trim videos and stuff, which sometimes is all you need if you're doing vlogs and things like that and just starting out. But
for the first couple of years, I used Windows Movie Maker 2.6. That was the XP version of the movie editor, and that was really good. Just for simple edits, trimming, but it didn't have multiple layers, picture in picture, and eventually I had to upgrade from there. But yeah, I think for a couple of years I used it.
Yeah. So best of luck. Hopefully that was something. How do you stand out among a flood of new videos on a certain topic, such as yesterday's Nintendo Direct? So,
well, this is your domain here, Dan.
You're trying to cover something, or maybe you want to cover the entire Nintendo Direct or something similar, like E3. I don't know if yesterday was the last day or if it's still going on. You would think I'd follow it more closely. What I would do is first start with, of a Nintendo Direct, what was your favorite announcement? What's the thing you're most excited to talk about? Try to make a video on that one thing, like a shorter video, just to kind of see what you can do with the topic, maybe expand from there. But a couple things come to mind. You could say my top 5 favorite announcements from yesterday's Nintendo Direct. Or you could say everything you need to know about whatever game or update or whatever it was that was teased. That's being specific is my point. That's my general point, is you don't want to say everything I think about the Nintendo Direct, because no one really knows who you are. It's not specific at all. And everyone's already covering that. All the big timers are covering that exact thing. So you got to start small and try and pick a certain bit of it to give your take on.
When Apple was announcing new iPhone releases, my speciality at that time, my niche, was how to record your iPhone screen. So I didn't focus on anything about the specs, the screen, etc., etc. All I was interested in was, does it make it easier for users to record their screen? Because that's what I was known for, and that was my little corner of the iPhone universe at that time. So it might be like a specific character not being included in a game, or you know, a certain item that you think is really going to change the game in some way, shape, or form, or how the next Breath of the Wild is going to be as boring as a previous one.
It's in the sky now.
God.
That I did see.
That's just more open space to roam around doing nothing, isn't it?
That I did see.
So strange, isn't it? Like, I love the Wind Waker, which, like, you're just sailing for 75% of the time, but Breath of the Wild, nah.
How many more questions do you want to take? I know we're at time here.
Well, I do have a Clubhouse coming soon.
Oh yes,
yeah.
Let's talk about that for a second.
Not too long.
If you don't know what Clubhouse is, it is on Android and iOS now. I believe if you needed an invite, I think maybe someone on Twitter or Discord who works here at vidIQ might be able to help you. Maybe I don't want to say that definitively because I don't know where we're at with invites. But if you're in Clubhouse, Rob's going to be doing a Clubhouse in our vidIQ club shortly. So there you go.
Yeah, in like 45 minutes. No, well, less than an hour from now. Top of the next hour, whatever hour that is for you.
Would you like to pick one more question then?
Sure. Sorry, I wasn't really looking at the questions, but sure, if we can find one.
Let's see.
What's this? If I'm able to double my watch time, will my CPM also double? Also, any tips on how to increase watch time? So the answer would be no, I think, here. It's funny that I'm doing a video about CPM, and yet I haven't monetized a single video in 5 years. So my knowledge is a little questionable. But as far as I'm aware, in terms of CPM, you want more views because you're going to get more pre-roll ads, especially because with videos, if you have mid-roll ads, that if a viewer doesn't get there, then you don't necessarily get paid. So the more views you get, I think the more CPM you're going to get. But the last thing I want you to be thinking about is, how can I leverage YouTube's payment mechanism to earn me more money? Because your mindset is too focused on one thing as opposed to how can I provide the best content for my audience. What I'm worried about now is that you'll want to put mid-roll ads every 30 seconds or however frequently you can just to get more ad revenue, which is just going to totally frustrate your viewers. And of course, the ultimate question is, how valuable is CPM to your bottom line as a YouTube channel? Because what you'll hopefully learn is that CPMs contribute less than 10% of your potential income on your channel. And then, like, how to increase your watch time, it's just look at audience retention and see where the dips are. Are you hooking your audience in the first 30 seconds, etc., etc., etc.? But allow Dan to add anything else he's got on that topic.
Yeah, I think if you're struggling with watch time, you might try looking into making shorter videos, actually, just to start, try and like practice. Can you fit a lot of information in a short amount of time, hold people's attention? I always like to look at retention. I always like to see where in the retention graph there's these dips, and then I analyze that video. I scrutinize it a lot. Like, hey, like, why did all these people leave at this part? Oh, it kind of sounds like I was winding down when the video was only half over. A lot of that is my fault. So that helps with retention. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's because we're 2 hours in. My brain is just kind of fried at this point, Rob. I'll be honest.
Is it time to take a break, Dan?
Next week. It might be.
All right, then let's do it.
So yeah, I know there's a lot more questions we didn't get to. I do apologize.
We're going to leave them wanting more though. We can't do everything.
That's right. That's part of it, right? Look how much more watch time we get when we leave you wanting more. There's your answer. We did it. I got there.
There we go. We got there. Well played.
So thank you all for participating in our weekly Q&A live stream. We'll be back on Tuesday, of course, with channel audits. Rob's going to be in Clubhouse in just under an hour. And who knows? Maybe you could ask a question in there. I don't know what's the room about today. Do you know?
I don't actually know. Shows how prepared I am. Let me check on my phone and see if it tells me. I'm dreading it's going to say Q&A with Rob Wilson. Ask him any question you want.
Ask anything. There you go. You have a second crack at it if you want
to. Let's see.
No, I'm trying
to
find
my calendar? Where's my calendar? Oh, it's why nobody watches your YouTube videos. So I need to watch my own videos very quickly to remind myself as to what I said.
So there you go. In Clubhouse in less than an hour, why nobody watches your YouTube videos featuring Rob Wilson. So there you go. Thank you all for joining us today. We'll be back again on Tuesday for channel audits. We'll be back on Wednesday for another Q&A live stream. And anything else going on that we should mention?
Not that I can think of, Dan. But I think we want to try and carry on this theme of me outroing with something smashing the camera. You know, like we timed it last time.
Oh,
you know,
yeah,
I punched the camera. So this time we're gonna get my the lightsaber. So Dan, you got to time it as to when I smash the camera, we go off.
All right.
So you ready?
Yep.
You ready? May the force be with you until next week.